This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN Network, and we're a proud media sponsor for the upcoming Precious Metals Summit happening September 15th through 17th, now virtual, and we're very excited to be a part of that. And someone else who's going to be a part of that, joining me right now, is Ryan McIntyre. He is the president of Maverix Metals. It's a publicly traded company. It's one symbol on two exchanges, MMX on the NYSE American and the TSX. Ryan, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on. So this is our first time doing an interview together. So I'd love to get a quick overview and history of the company, and then we can go from there.
Sure. Well, Maverix is about 4 years old, and it basically came about because Pan American Silver essentially spun out their royalties into what is now Maverix. And so that really started off the company in mid-2016. And since then, we've done a number of deals with some other major companies along the way, such as Newmont, Goldfields, and Kinross, to have their portfolios vended in. So we now have 105 assets, 13 of which are currently paying.
And what would you say makes the company unique and different compared to some of your peers out there?
Yeah, I'd probably say one of the most unique aspects is the very fact that we do have three major corporate shareholders. So that being Newmont, Pan American, they own 23 and 20% respectively. Then also Kinross, that owns 9% of Maverix. And that came about simply due to the fact that we acquired their royalty portfolios over the last several years, and they decided to take equity stakes in Maverix. So that's a huge difference, I would say, between us and some of the others.
So let's talk about some of those royalty portfolios. You know, what about them was interesting to you and why you wanted to bring them under the Maverix banner?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, the royalty portfolios were really not getting much value in those larger companies, not surprisingly. And so really not much attention was paid to those. And really the whole idea here was to basically bring that value out for them. And so, when we look at royalties, we're obviously looking at many different things. But one of the things we did focus on early was the idea of cash flow generation first. And then sort of as we built the portfolio to over 100 assets, we started rounding out the portfolio, most recently with the Kinross acquisition at the end of 2019, where we added some sort of midterm development and long-term development plays into the portfolio as well. So it's nice and well-rounded portfolio.
So this was like a classic strategy for, people who have been through a few bull bear cycles in commodities where they see in a bear market and I'm just assuming that you guys were looking at different projects and opportunities that, in a better climate could realize more value, but hey, we could probably get good value for it right now and then bring it into the portfolio and then, play the waiting game. I mean, right now, we're doing this on July 30th. I think gold just touched 2,000, So, was that some of the thought process that you had there?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is from a royalty perspective, obviously there's a pretty big difference in value between what the royalties get assigned in portfolios versus what they are sort of in a, operating company portfolio. So, from our perspective, we saw a couple wins. The first one being, if we could bring those royalty portfolios into Maverix, we could potentially get a bit of a re-rate, moving them from there to us to basically daylight the value. And then the second part of that was just doing accretive acquisitions in addition to that. And so there's really a twofold strategy here at Maverix. And so we're planning to execute on both of those fronts going forward.
And what's your background? How'd you come into all this?
Yeah, it's interesting, actually. So I joined at the end of 2019 in November. And how that all came about was actually I knew the CEO, Dan O'Flaherty, probably 15 or 20 years or so. And we worked together at Macquarie Bank, actually doing M&A work on the initial streaming transactions in the sector. So we did a lot of work for others, and Dan decided that he would want to work with Jeff Burns, who used to be the chair or the CEO of Pan American Silver. And they formed the company, and I knew them both pretty well and decided to join at the end of last year. So pretty excited about it.
Nice. So then from what you can tell us, what would you say are some of the company's value catalysts now moving forward?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest things, are just organically for us. I think if you look at our portfolio, we've got a number of great paying assets currently. So we've got 13 assets that are currently paying, but we have another 92 assets that are in development or exploration phases. and we've got some all over, the map in terms of when they might come on. And I think that's the one thing that the gold price has really changed for us, and that people yet haven't caught up to, is the value that really that gold price change has created, and frankly the money that's flowing into those companies that are developing those assets. So that's really one of the main things. Then of course acquisitions. Obviously our main strategy is to acquire new assets, and hopefully we'll be able to do that in the back half of 2020 here.
And where can my audience go and find more information about Maverix Metals?
Two places, probably MaverixMetals.com, and then we also are on Twitter at Maverix Metals. So check out both of those.
Perfect. All right. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next update.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Again, my name is Robert Kraft. I'm your host on SNN Network, and we're a proud media sponsor for the upcoming Precious Metals Summit happening September 15 through 17, now virtual. Ryan will be there with Maverix Metals. And thank you very much for listening.